Hello, this is Matt Cannon with my thoughts of the day out here in nature. I'm going to share a few ideas with you, and I want to start off with a quote from Anthony Mello. I read his book recently thanks to a recommendation from Tim Ferriss, who always comes up with great recommendations, and he said that the book Awareness by Anthony Mello was life-changing, and I agree. It's a very powerful book. And Anthony has a quote that he says, the shortest distance between a human being and truth is a story. The shortest distance between a human being and truth is a story. And so I want to just take time to also tell you a story that Anthony Mello told, but I'm going to add a few different elements to it. And so the story is about a woodcutter. So there's a woodcutter, and he's doing what a woodcutter does, and that's cutting wood. The problem is he has a very blunt axe. So his axe is very dull, the blade is not sharp, and he's cutting the wood with this dull, blunt axe. And so as he's doing it, he's just exhausted. He has so much to cut. There's a high demand in the village to cut a lot of wood and to provide output and to always be doing something and go, go, go. So he's very exhausted. And his answer to the exhaustion is he's got to work harder and harder and harder. He's got to just keep going and cutting this wood. So he starts early in the morning and he goes till late at night cutting wood. All the while he has a blunt axe. So he had a friend who cared about him dearly who said, "Woodcutter," I'm not going to say a name, let's just say John. "John, woodcutter John, why don't you just sharpen your axe?" And his answer was, "I don't have time. There's too much work to do. I don't have the time to sharpen my axe." And so he goes on, and he goes on day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, just cutting with this blunt axe. And he's not really making progress. So the friend comes back to him again, and he figures, if I can't convince him to sharpen his own axe, maybe I can give him the experience of letting him borrow my axe just for a week, even a day. I'll just let him borrow it for a day, because he knows that this woodcutter is pretty proud and he doesn't want to maybe admit that the person has merit. So this friend, dear friend, shows up to the woodcutter's house and he says, "John, here's this axe that I've sharpened. Why don't you just borrow it for a week, even a day, just to try it out and see if it helps you at all with your woodcutting?" So the man, John, is super tired, so he says, "Okay, I guess I'll borrow your axe. Since you're being generous with it and I trust you're a good, dear friend, I'll go ahead and borrow your axe." So he takes the axe and he goes out and he cuts with the freshly sharpened axe that the friend gave him, and he finds out that he doubles his output. So he doubles his output. He ends up cutting far more wood easier. So his day of work, so say his day was 10 hours, he does 10 hours, but he gets the equivalent of output as if he would have done like 2 days worth of work in one day. So he doubles his output with the sharpened axe. Then he says, "Wow, that was interesting." So then he goes back the next day. Sure enough, he's going through and taking care of everything. And he goes back to his friend, and his friend just tells him, "So how was the axe? Did you, how did your week go with work?" And he notices that John the woodcutter is a little bit more kind of at peace. He seems satisfied with the week, the work's week, and he's appreciative to the friend. He says, "You know what? I got to tell you, this axe is amazing. With the extra work that I've done and money that I've made from chopping wood, I would like to buy this axe from you." And the friend is like, "No, you're not going to buy the axe from me. I let you borrow it as a gift." And the friend's like, "Well, it's changed my life. This axe is amazing. I need to use it from now on, here on out. And so I want to borrow this axe or have this axe. I want to buy it from you. I made extra money this week because I doubled my output for the week. So I'm doing really good financially now than I would have been doing." And the friend says, No, listen. Let's take a minute and I'll show you how I sharpen my axe. And let's just sharpen your axe next to my axe. And that way you can see you know, what I do, and then try for yourself with your axe, because you have a perfectly good axe. The only problem is you're not taking the time to sharpen it. And so he sits there and he brings like a thing to grind and sharpen the axe, and he goes over to John the woodcutter's house, and he helps him sharpen his own axe. And he says, listen, I'll leave my axe here for you so you can use it another week, but just humor me, and just now that we've sharpened your axe and you've sharpened your own axe, I just showed you how I do it, why don't you try to use your axe? Because your axe is your axe. You're used to it. You use it in the way that you use it. It's got comfortable grips. You've had it for years. It's been in your family for years. So why don't you go ahead and just use your own axe now that it's sharpened, and just try. So the woodcutter, John the woodcutter, is kind of hesitant, but he says, okay, I'll give it a try. But man, your axe was so good. He says, tell you what, bring both axes when you go out and cut wood for the day, but just use yours first and just see the difference. So John the woodcutter goes out and he takes his axe that's been freshly sharpened with the help of his friend helping him sharpen it, and he goes out and starts cutting. And he noticed that the axe, once it's been sharpened, is cutting so much better. It's actually better than the one his friend let him borrow, because it's just literally been freshly sharpened. And he ends up more than doubling his output for the day. And then he's just amazed, and he does through a whole other week again. His axe is working so good that he's convinced that he's got to use his axe. So the friend comes back at the end of the next week and he says, so John, how did everything go out with your axe that you sharpened it? He's like, I can't believe it. You know, you were right. The axe was better than even your axe that you let me borrow. At least for me, it worked well for me because it was comfortable, and my output more than doubled. And so his friend said, there you go, John. And what I wanted to convey to you, John, is this is something you can do for yourself. The time you spend sharpening the axe, the time you spend doing that is far going to surpass the extra effort you're going to put in to just keep working without sharpening your axe. So the truth that's in the story, which I think you understand it now, is ideas and thoughts are kind of like that. It's like a sharpening of the axe or a sharpening of the mind, but someone can help you, a friend can help you by giving you an idea and a fresh idea, but you have to go sharpen your own mind or your own axe to get the full benefit and gift of it. And so this story is just a short example of what it means to sharpen your mind day by day. It may seem like the woodcutter, I don't have time, like I'm too busy. I'm working all the time, I'm running here, I'm running there. By the time I get home, I'm exhausted. But if you make it a priority to sharpen your axe or sharpen your mind, to learn something new every day, to build yourself up every day, you're going to find that effort is going to need to be less than what you're used to. And you're going to have more output with less input, which means you're going to have greater results with less effort. And that's what happens when you sharpen an axe. It cuts better. That's what happens when you sharpen your mind. It works better. So that's my thoughts of the day. Just a little story, a little wisdom from Anthony de Mello. Check out the book Awareness by Anthony de Mello. It has so many nuggets of truth in it. I was very much kind of floored by all the details that were in there, what I learned from it. But this is just a story today, and so this is my thought of the day. Have a great time. This is Matt Cannon, signing out.